Hey friend, I'm Robin May, and a few of the professional hats that I wear includes being a transformational speaker, a life coach, and a licensed therapist. And personally, well, I'm a wife, a mommy to 3 girls, and a pastor's wife, just to name a few. Girl, I'm over here doing all the things while trying to stay in shape and keep my skin clear. But the truth is, I don't want to be known for being busy. I think that's a scheme that somebody set up. No, I want to be known for living a life that is in perfect alignment with what God intended. And I want to help you do the same. So it's with that in mind, I'd like to welcome you right here to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Over here, we're creating a safe space to have real conversations with real women on real topics. This is a judgment-free zone where we can be vulnerable and honest and curious about our lives so that we can elevate not just what we do, but who we are. So if any of that resonates with you, again, welcome to our safe space. This is Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Y'all, you're not going to believe this. My girl Z is back. But first, welcome back to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. As you know, we are smack dab in the middle of a brand new series. Well, you can't be in the middle of a brand new series because if you're in the middle, that means the series has been going on. So we are in the series Mental Health is Wealth. If you're watching this real time, you know that this is Mental Health Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. But even if you're listening to this at a different time, I truly believe these conversations are going to be helpful and life-giving. And so, as many of you know, I was the first person on the series where I just kind of did a mind dump of all things mental health. And then I think the order in which you are seeing this is my girl, Dr. Tori, came on before this episode. And so then up next is my girl Z or my girl Brandy. I don't know which order we're going to do. Those are two professionals. And then mental health professionals. Then I have my girl here. Dr. Zenobia was on with us when we were talking about, what were we talking about, Z?
Risa Tisa.
We were talking about Risa Tisa. You came on for a bonus episode. It was audio only, and now she is on the screen. Zenobia is one of my closest friends. Started out as my little sister. She doesn't like for me to call her my little sister now because she's real grown, but started out as my little sister, has just transformed into one of my closest friends, my daughter's auntie, a true confidant. Welcome back to the podcast, Z.
Thank you. Hi.
I'm super excited that you are here now. Last time you were just audio only, so now they get to see you in the flesh if you're watching this on YouTube. And it's going to be a vulnerable conversation. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's go.
You're ready. All right. So we're going to start off. So, as you know, we're on this conversation. Mental health is wealth. And let's talk about how you even coming on the podcast came about. So I don't know if you remember why this came about, but I was in Walmart. We were Marcoing.
Mhm.
And I have to remember I was going to buy a shirt for some. I was buying, I think, a Valentine's Day shirt. So it must have been February. I was buying a shirt for Riley, my then 9-year-old. And we were having a conversation. And I said, wait a minute, honey. I am bringing you on the podcast to unpack this all the way in May. And I have kept my promise. Your name is right up there on the wall because I wanted to make sure you're here for this conversation. But first, introduce yourself. Tell the people a little bit about where you're from because that's going to be important and what you do for a living.
Well, I am Zenobia. Several names to different people, but I am a Philadelphia native. So I'm born and raised and back in Philadelphia. I am 40 years old. So while a lot of people don't let me be grown, I'm grown.
Real
Um,
grown.
and I'm real grown. And I'm telling you what I do, right?
Hmm.
Am a principal. So I am a principal of a K-8 charter school right here in the city of Philadelphia.
I love it. And did you say that you are Dr. Zenobia? I've been calling you Dr. Zenobia because she absolutely is Dr. Zenobia. You got your doctorate in,
Educational leadership.
okay, in educational leadership. And so we call her Dr. Baby because you officially got your doctorate in what year?
2012. So I was 28. 28, 29.
Zenobia.
I know. That was the same reaction when it was happening live.
I mean, it's not like I didn't know it. You were in your 20s getting your doctorate. Do you get annoyed? Let me ask you this question. Do you get annoyed when people call me Dr. Robin?
Why are we doing this?
Tell
I
the truth.
I
Tell the
do
truth.
and I don't. I would more if I didn't know you, but I know that that's in you. I just don't know what you're waiting on, so I don't get as mad. But yes, it does not technically apply.
Yeah, because you're like, baby, I earned this. So don't just be
Or
throwing it out there. Okay, so I talked a little bit about the fact that where you're from is important to this conversation. And I also talked about the fact that our relationship started as you being more of a little sister to me. And the reason why that's important is because our relationship started with me being like a big sister in faith. And I had the privilege of watching you from where you were, honey, baby, to where you are right now. I have had the privilege of seeing you in the raw
oh, what a
and
journey.
seeing, yes, baby, and seeing how God has polished that oyster. Is that the right phrase?
We're gonna go. It sounded good. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but it
Okay.
sounded good.
So I want to talk a little bit about mental health, and particularly when it comes to mental health for you. Over the last several years, what would you say? I'll let you answer this question. Over the last several years, what would you say you have discovered about your own mental health?
Wow.
That's a big question, isn't
A
it?
loaded question. That it's unstable. How about that? We can start there.
You were gonna go that route.
But in all seriousness, I think I've noticed that it is a facet of my life that I wish would have been more um, tapped into earlier.
Mm,
Because the level of awareness I have now at 40, while I don't regret much, I think everything happens when it needs to and everything has a reason. If I knew what I know, here we go. If I knew then what I know now, I think a lot of people would have left unscathed. What's the word? So,
unscathed. Let's go with unscathed.
yeah. So mental health really wasn't a thing when I was growing up. It definitely wasn't talked about in my family. It's barely talked about now. Um, but it just wasn't a topic. And so I had nowhere to associate different things, my responses, my reactions, my behaviors. I didn't have language for it. I didn't know
Hmm.
to connect it to anything except for just I'm this girl from Philly and what and yeah, all of that. So which has its
Let's
place.
be clear.
Let's be clear, okay? But there was also a lot more that is just through life experiences. If I knew, or if mental health was as large of a conversation as it is now back then, I think I would have been able to navigate a lot of things, a lot of relationships, a lot of experiences in life a lot differently.
I love you saying that because that sets me up for the next question. But as I said, I think where you're from plays a part. And people from the north get annoyed when I say this. Say it anyway because I ain't scared of y'all. I am not scared of y'all, people from the north. But people from the north have a reputation. People from the south have a reputation of
Yeah,
being what?
uh, uh,
See,
you're not getting ready to get into this. This is not the topic for today. But just so the people are clear, Robin is from Dallas, Texas. And so Dallas is very far from Philadelphia. It's two totally
yes.
different worlds. However, yes, there are perceptions and truths about people from the South as there are about people from the North. We're fast paced, we move in, we just don't have
And
time.
don't play. Like people from the north, the reputation is that they are going to get with you. They're going to put you in your place. No nonsense. I'll just say that. Very no
So that's a good
nonsense.
one. We handle things head on. We address
Head
things head on
on.
and we keep it moving.
Exactly. And so you just said because mental health was not a big conversation. And the truth is, Zoe, it wasn't for me either. It wasn't for most people in our age group, even though we're not in the same age group. Although it wasn't for most people in our age groups at this point. And so when did you begin to say, hold on, there may be something more than just I'm Zoe from Philly?
So I'm a principal now, but of course I started off as a teacher. And while I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but while I was great at what I did, and a lot of people kind of came to me for different things, I was also rubbing people the wrong way and didn't even realize it. So I had a coworker who we're still great friends to this day, but he would just be so, he's not from the north, so I want to put that out there, but he would just be so blunt, like, you're crazy, you're crazy, I'm getting away from you, you're crazy. He would say that, like, and I'm like, I'm not crazy, I'm going crazy, right? And so one day I was in his classroom and I realized that he had my name on his calendar, and I was like, why do you have my name? Because again, right, I'm ready. Why do you have my name on your calendar? What's the problem? And so he's like, oh no, because when you get crazy, I need to know when the crazy week is coming so that I know how to
Zenobia.
hand to God. I was like, what? Because I never, first of all, heard of that, but I never even realized that there's a time every month where I get a little extra. Now, with that, it helped me to realize. So originally I was connecting it to, what women go through every month,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case is. And I started to pay attention because he was my friend. So I don't think he was being ridiculous. There's truth in it. So then I was like, okay, let me start paying attention since he kind of saying I'm crazy. Let's see what's happening. And I would be able to start to realize that it would get really, really bad. Like, you are in trouble if you are in my path and we aren't on the same page about literally which way the wind blew. So I
Mm.
started to become aware of how I was feeling, how I was responding, how I was engaging with people, just in that setting first, because that's how it was brought to me. And then over the years, that I was able to put that into relationships. Like, okay, so it don't necessarily now have to do with a particular time of the month. While for me that is very important, but now it's just why am I responding to when people say things, or when people are invading my space, or when I feel like
Yes.
somebody is coming at me when they don't even know me? Why am I responding like that? And so that started me into really kind of just slowing down, and taking a deeper look. And I didn't know, I might be getting ahead of myself, but I didn't always get it right. I still would, I don't know, what did you say, bring a machete to bring a
I know.
gun to.
Let me jump in and say, okay, so first of all, your nickname in one of our group chats, one of
Yeah.
our group meet chats is Stay Ready Stephanie.
Yes.
Because Stephanie's your middle name, isn't it?
No, it's because you all are rude, but go ahead.
Oh, we just met. It's not your no, your middle name is Nicole.
Correct.
Oh my God. Okay, so we had her change her name to Stay Ready Stephanie, and the idea was because you're gonna stay ready, you're going to pop off. And so you began to realize, I cannot believe this man had to put your name on the
It was
calendar.
really sad when I
You
said
think about it. And
every
so
month he was just
he,
yes,
he was your friend, and he was experiencing that. And just imagine the people who didn't
weren't my
see you
friends.
as a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So then you said it began to show up in other relationships. And one of the things you just brushed over just then is like, even when people would come into your space, let's start off with this though. One of the ways I would see Stay Ready Stephanie show up is if you thought somebody was coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
And by coming for you, it would mean saying something you didn't agree with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I would have to tell you when she just referenced that, what I would tell her all the time when she'd be like, Robin, you didn't see they came for me. And I would be like, no, no, I didn't see them coming for you. And even if they did, you would bring a machete to a fist fight. If y'all have ever heard that saying, it's kind of like your response to the
Yeah.
trigger was not congruent with the trigger. These people are living bloodied, broke down, devastated, and all they said was, I didn't like your shirt. What were
Yeah.
your thoughts about that?
Because who asked you if you like my shirt? Oh, that's not what you're saying. Okay. No, I definitely, you're totally right. Like, I because of different experience, again, I know now what I didn't know then, but because of different experiences as I was growing up throughout childhood, teenagehood, just all the things, I realized early that I had to self-protect, right?
Wait, we can't rush past that, y'all. This is so huge. Let's say it again because you said it twice now. What you're sharing with us now is revelation you have come to through life experiences.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
then you didn't know what was happening.
Correct.
But now you understand because of life experiences growing up, self-protection became your, I don't know,
My
your coat of
responsibility.
armor.
Yeah, it was my armor. I think that's a great word for it. It was my I woke up and had my coffee. That's kind of what it was to get my day started. And so anybody who came over here, let's see, even now you and I, we don't always land on the same page with this part, but I promise y'all, I'll be right here minding my business. And then people decide to come on over here.
That's what you people who operate like that think. You
Yeah,
people. Go ahead.
uninvited and unannounced, right? And then, right, to offer me something that I might not have been ready for or asked for or thought was necessary. And so then, to your point, because I have on this self-protection coat of armor, I'm going to protect me because nobody else did. I got to make sure I'm good because otherwise I won't be. And things that happened before will never happen to me again, right? Because that was how I was operating. Whatever you said, whether it be this big or this big, my machete sits right here. So
Yes.
I'm always ready for a fight, if you know what I mean. So, which
Yes.
was not good. I will acknowledge that's not good behavior. And I'm so much further now, but I didn't have the ability to regulate that person is not my past experience, or what that person said is not connected to all the other times where something like that was said and meant something different. I didn't have the ability to do that because I lived so long in self-protection mode. So I couldn't see anything else. It's kind of like looking through rose-colored glasses. Unless you take the glasses off, you don't know what color the
Absolutely.
really
Oh,
is.
girl, just know that next week I'm gonna be doing a sermon on you just gave this to me, looking at life through trauma, rose field,
Colored
trauma
glasses,
field,
or
yeah, trauma colored glasses.
yeah.
Because that's such a perfect analogy. Because one of the things I used to suggest to you, if we think about a match, right? If you light a match, if you have a really long match, it
Mhm.
takes a long time for that fire to burn and burn you.
Yeah.
Your match was like that. Like it was just very, very quick. And your
Yeah.
ability to discern somebody coming for you and somebody having a comment
Yeah.
was very, very short. Another way we can kind of unpack this, one of the things we used to talk about is you wouldn't have a problem. You are okay with having a conversation. What
Mhm.
you would always say is, you go ahead and finish. It's not the fact we're going to have a conversation. It is
Your response after I can handle the initial conversation and I will give you my response. But then whatever you say next, I'm probably not prepared for that part. And that's very well where it could go left.
exactly. So you used to say all the time, no, Robin, because I didn't like how they came back. And I would literally many times be in the moment with you and scratching my head like, I don't understand where this happened. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit more. Another way that now let's say this because you are putting yourself out here vulnerably. We
Mhm.
all have our crazy.
Yeah.
And when I talk about crazy, I'm not calling our mental health crazy. I use that term to say we all have that thing that has us in a fog. I have mine. You know mine very well. You talk me through mine often. And so but we ain't talking about me though. Okay? We're not talking about me, we're talking about you. So I want to make sure I preface for the listeners if you can relate to Zenobia. At the same time that we're unpacking all of this, you also are one of the wisest women I know. You have an ability to hear God's voice. you have such a strategic mind. If somebody wants somebody on their team, they need you on their team. So I need you all to hear, as we are unpacking these areas of growth for her, there's so many dope, amazing parts of who she is. And sometimes, Zenobia, we put up such a defense when we're unpacking the areas of growth because it feels like somebody is just eating us up, right? So I just want to say that to the person listening. Another way that we would find this happening, oh, girl, if, and this just happened, you just didn't go off. This just happened when I was in Philly recently. You and your stickler for time.
Mm-hmm.
What would be so triggering to you? Like it could be something as simple as, everybody, we're getting together at 4. If people are walking in at 4:15, you're annoyed.
Yeah,
You
because
got
I
to
feel
explain to the people why.
because I feel disrespected. Like, why would you not be there on time? And honestly, what it is for me is, why would you not communicate that? So
Hmm.
you know good and well we meeting at 4 and it's 3:45 and you're still at home, but you live 40 minutes from you know good and well you ain't gonna be there at 4. So in my brain, which I now know everybody doesn't think like me, you could text that, call, whatever your mode of communication is, send that to the people so that they aren't waiting, right? Well, that I've been fighting that battle for probably 40 years. So what I've
Yes,
now learned, right, it still annoys me, but what I've now learned is I got to know my people. So some
absolutely.
groups of people I know, they ain't gonna never be on time, ever. You can forget it,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
my best girlfriends here in Philly, they're like, well, I wish you would just stop showing up on time because you're stressing us out, right? We know you there, now we stressed out.
no, that's why I want to bring that. Hey, listen to this, and nobody is going to be like, "Yeah, you shouldn't be out. People should be on time." It's not just that if people, the rest of the time back then, you did so good the other day in Philly because you just bounced right on back. There was a time, it wasn't just they are on time. The rest of the evening would be over.
Yeah, that's real.
And you talked about it because you felt disrespect. You filtered that as disrespect.
Yeah, and I it also, so a part of, I don't even know how to name it now, but a part, I have to operate A to B, B to C, left to right. This line meets this. I have to operate. I don't have to. I operated like that for so long that
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much how I operate. When I'm, again, think about self protection mode. When I can't control all of the pieces on the board, then I start to get very anxious because I don't know what's going to happen. Now I know
Yes.
maybe listening, like, I mean, just because somebody's 30 minutes late, I mean, it manifests in that, and I'm a lot better with that now. But for me, it's just not that you was 30 minutes late. It's that, so now what am I can't even, what am I supposed to do now? Just sit here and wait, and now I'm vulnerable. I know this can sound a bit dramatic.
No, but I love it. Keep going.
Yeah, so now I'm vulnerable out here for 30 minutes. What am I supposed to do? I'm also, which nobody would believe, I promise you, I am an extroverted introvert, right? So I don't, now I got to talk to, what do you want me to do? You want me to sit here and just socialize with people I don't know and nobody's here? So it sends me into all of this behavior. I'm an overthinker. I have to overanalyze things. So it's not just you being 30 minutes late. It's the spiral it sends me down, which is not your fault, but I didn't realize that until, okay.
Zenobia, like I want to
Yeah.
just come through and give you a hug. See, these people don't know that's I'm that kind of friend, and
Yeah.
y'all tell me to leave you alone, get off of you. So I will be hugging you because of this breakthrough. I mean, we've had this conversation, but somebody is listening to this getting a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And so again, y'all are hearing her on this end of the spectrum. This has been years of us navigating this. And so that was so powerful for you to make that connection for us, that you're able now to unpack what was happening. But at the time,
Right.
you just felt triggered. And all you knew is that you're disrespecting me. And now I'm in this state of angst
Yeah.
because you were late instead of I don't know how to self-regulate when things are outside of my control.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
And what I would say for years is people, life happens. And let's get it be true, because like you said, I don't necessarily want to meet somebody at dinner at 4 and they don't show up at 6 until 6. I don't have a problem with that. See, I'm probably gonna leave. And so I don't like that either. But it was the spiral it would take you into.
Yeah.
Okay, another example. Another example. So you are this PhD level, doctorate level woman who has accomplished so much. You have ran several schools. You're just the bomb. Can you? We didn't talk about me asking you this. So,
Okay. Here we go.
y'all, if this gets edited out, I'm going to leave all this in here and just come back and say she made me edit it out. But let's talk a little bit about something as simple, it's better now, but something as simple as taking your son on a trip. Because of the angst, now you are accomplished. So
Mhm.
it's not like you can't do tough things. What would happen at the thought of taking my godson on a trip?
Gosh, all the things. It would just, I would totally get anxiety. Again, I'm an overthinker. So if I don't know where I'm going, what's there when I get there, what's activity A, activity B, if it takes too many steps for me to figure that out, or if I'm on the journey to figuring that out, right? Because we Google all the things and I call, let's say, and the place is like, oh, we're closed on Tuesday. The whole trip is done. Forget it.
Oh,
We're done.
she's not exaggerating. The whole trip would be
We
over.
got to cancel the whole trip because I still don't know how to name it, but whatever that block, when I hit a rope now, to Robin's point, I didn't got a PhD. So I didn't hit roadblocks in life, right? I done made it to 40 through several different experiences. So I've hit roadblocks, right? And I've been able to overcome them. But I don't know this type of thing. I can't do it. I just, well, the whole trip's canceled. We're just gonna sit here and because I can't control. I don't do well with, you know how people can just go, we're just gonna go. We're just gonna go. Whatever happens, happens. And we wake up and
Yes.
find a Starbucks. I, I don't understand that world. I do not under and I want to, I think this is the other piece. I want to so bad to not be so confined to this need to have control all the time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just, like right now, I'm working to get there. But before, I just didn't even know that that was possible. I just thought, y'all, hey, Frank, y'all were crazy. I'm like, what do you mean just gonna show up? And what are we gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, just having friends and having relationships and all of that, it's like, no, this is not how everybody operates, or this is not how everybody has to operate for something to go well. So y'all would have to talk me off the ledge for trips.
Yes.
My sister, for this trip you're talking about, my sister was so instrumental because she just started shooting me stuff. Now
Yes.
I can put it in the right pieces, but it's just things again that I've never been to this place, so I'm not familiar with it, so I don't know. It gives me a lot of anxiety. And while I know my goal, I wanted to take my son away for spring break. I wanted him to have a great experience. I couldn't get past the mental block. It's not the functioning things. I can call,
Yes.
I can do all that. I can write an agenda. I can do all of that. It's the mental block that happens when I can't control the pieces on the board. And y'all just
Yes.
want to
Yes.
go somewhere and not even know what game I'm playing or how I'm gonna do that.
Right. So this just, I was sitting here trying to figure out the order in which I was going to do. If they listening to, if they're watching this on YouTube, you see how I just switched my position. They
Mhm.
saw my leggings and everything. Hey y'all. But listen,
Mhm.
I was just thinking about the order I'm gonna do the series in, and I think I'm gonna have my girl Brandy come after this episode because she and I are going to really lean into the trauma aspect of it, because so much of this is fueled by your own story of your experiences.
Yeah.
And you said, I don't know what to name it. Well, we know that it is the fear of not being in control, and the fear of the unknown was just too great for you to overcome. And it wasn't, this is what I want the listener to hear or the watcher to hear. It's not just the idea of let me just go to the place and figure something out. It is when that unknown shows up, it takes you back
Right,
to
right.
unknowns in your past. But it's not, this is what we have to understand. It's not a cognitive taking you back. It
Mhm.
is a physiological taking you back. Because I know you even begin to feel the
Yeah,
anxiety,
yeah. I'm literally
right?
like, we're not doing anything. It's done. It's over. I'm not
Exactly.
moving. We're not going. I can't move. To your point, I can't physically move past that moment to even see what's on the other side. And the times that I have, which have been few, it has been with a lot of support from my friends, from you, from my sister, from our other friends who've just been like, girl, you can and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, that's
Yes,
doable.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the pieces coming together from the friendships and relationships I have helped me to help my body to calm down to the point where I can now say, oh, okay, well, it's not, we can make it, we can make it happen. So
Okay, so another thing that we've kind of unpacked in, and it's so interesting as we talk about it, all comes back to control or being out of control. But another way that this has shown up for you, and I've told you, is if the thought is coming that you could possibly fail at doing something. So we talked about the control, but let's talk a little bit about the idea of me not doing well or me you not accomplishing it
yeah.
when accomplishment has been your identity.
Yeah. So again, as a child, I didn't know then, but I know now, like, I dealt with a lot of abandonment, right? So I was alone a lot. I mean, I have a great family. They're amazing. They're still here, but I was still
And
alone.
there's some of all of them are my faves. Your whole family is
Every
my
last
fave.
one of them.
I love them all.
But with that, I had to find something to cling to receive validation, to feel levels of success, to feel a level of belonging, right? All of those things. And academics came fairly easy to me, and I was able to achieve a lot of wins academically early in life. And so that became a thing, right? I became people down call me a nerd and all kind of things because I achieved with minimal struggle. I'll say that, with minimal struggle.
Mhm.
So if I go for something, if I do it, I'm gonna achieve it. I'm gonna knock it out. I'm gonna hit the goal. I'm gonna meet the mark. So because that was my safety place, my place of belonging, my place of validation for most of my life, um, when it starts to get hard, or when I think I want to go out after something and there's a hint of I could fail or it could not work out, then I go right back to feeling like I'm gonna feel abandoned and I'm gonna be left out and I'm gonna be cast aside and all of these things. And so what I won't do is let that happen. So some people would think, oh
Yes.
yeah, you push forward, you force through. No, I just don't even attempt it. So it's now over
Yes.
there on the
Yes.
shelf. I'm not doing it because what we're not gonna
Yes.
do is fail. That's just not gonna happen. So it's so connected to just that's where I got the accolades. That's where I got the
Yes.
love. That's where I got the a lot of noise made about me because I had straight A's or I was on this list and the dean's list and all that and this award and all that. So if I'm not going to get the awards, then I'm not going to receive the love, right? And so that's something I'm still working to separate because now I know that's not true. But where do
Yes.
I find my identity if it's not in my achievement, right? And so anything that's failure or has the propensity to fail, I'm not going to even try it because it's going to then mar my identity.
Okay, friend, I had to interrupt the episode just to remind you. And I know I have been talking about bite sized breakthroughs for busy women for a minute, but we are so close to getting ready to launch. I have done a focus group asking women their opinion about how we should make this program work. I am finalizing a few more details. I want to make it super easy for you to access and for you to dive in. Bite-sized breakthroughs for busy women is for the woman just like you who wants some insight, some ahas about her own life and her own journey, but she is juggling so many things. She just does not have time right now to really set apart a long amount of time to get the help she needs. And that is where bite-sized breakthroughs for busy women comes in. So head over to robinmayonline.com/breakthrough so that you can be one of the first people to sign up. It's coming soon, girl. Go to the site now. Yeah, she is over here preaching. And I mean, I think this is so good for all of us to understand, where did you find your identity? And here's the thing, like we just said, Zenobia's family is dope. I promise you they really are. I wish y'all could meet them all. She gets so mad because all of them, I have nicknames for your mama, for your dad, for your bonus mom, for your sister. Those are my people. So it's not even a reflection on them per se,
Right.
because the truth is, even with my family, we all play a role in our family and we all find our identity. So even with Riley, Zoe, I am having to be very intentional. Those of you who are listening, my youngest child, who just excels in sports and academically, but we try very hard. Oh my God, just last night, girl, we were all sitting around eating dinner, or it might have been Sunday night. And somehow the conversation, oh, at church, let me tell y'all what happened at church, in youth church. They must have said, name some things that you like about yourself. So my middle baby Reagan said that Ryan, my oldest, just kept going. Just kept going to the point where everybody was like, okay, Ryan, we
Thanks,
know.
Ryan.
We
We're
think
good.
you
Yeah.
think you're the best. Well, I started asking them, so then what do y'all like about yourselves? And Reagan and Riley both named external things.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted them to name, look at me trying to control it.
Yeah,
I
he knows.
want you to name your heart and your resilience and your commitment and your loyalty. Well, of course, Riley was naming things like where she excels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, now she also said her eyes, which, hey, Riley, they are gorgeous.
Let's go.
So so I think this is such important information, because your identity began to be shaped around what you accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
doing well, excelling. And
Mm-hmm.
so now, as an adult, when it's time to try something, if the thought comes that you may not excel or win, you're going to shrink back.
Exactly. And to be fair, so Reagan is 15, Riley is 10, when this airs. When to be fair, I'm 40. And I have to be very intentional now, if somebody was to ask me that, to not name the external things. So
Exactly.
it's so easy for me to list all the things, all the accomplishments, everything on the outside. It takes intention for me to name those things that are necessarily the outward experiences, right?
Absolutely.
And so for Ryan to be able to do it at 17 is amazing,
What
but
you
she's
know,
Ryan. So yeah, she's amazing.
that's just her.
But
And so
for you
let
to
me
work
put my,
through that
okay, go
with,
on. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, for you to be working through that now with Reagan and Riley is so pivotal because we're grown and I still can't do it, right? And so,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Well, and it's interesting because I'm gonna put myself out there. So I probably found a lot of identity as well in accomplishing and doing well. But another place that I found a lot of identity that you helped me work through a lot, and most of my friends do, is I don't like to fail at relationships.
Mhm.
I knew I knew you were going. I don't like to fail at relationships. I like to be the person who is dependable. I'm your ear, and um I'm open to helping you process, and I'm there for you. I'm getting an A in relationship, an
Because
A
I
in
was gonna
friendship.
say it. You want an A plus. Don't
I
forget
want
the
an
plus
A plus
in
and
friendship, in
in
relationship.
friendship. And so what has happened over these years, I find myself bending over backwards, or not speaking up, or not sharing exactly what I'm experiencing in a friendship, because I feel like that's okay. I'll take it all. so that I can still get an A. And the moment I think I'm getting a C in a friendship,
Oh, baby, it's not good.
it's not good. And so that comes from my childhood. Now, again, my daddy in heaven, love you, daddy, my mama, my sister, my auntie, my family is dope as well. But somewhere I found my identity in keeping everybody okay
Yeah.
and making sure everybody's good and nobody's tripping and no, everything is fine. No, we're all good. And how that shows up or how it showed up, I'm really working on it now. Now I open my mouth, honey. I say what I got to say. But how that showed up, I do, don't I?
Look,
Am I
like
better?
you getting there, but it's the Dallas version. It's not the Philly version. Which
Right. Look, because I will call, and I don't know where Kim gets it from. This is not my sister, but you'll call me, or I'll call you and be like, girl, let me tell you what I said. I went off. In one of our friend groups, they'd be like, when you didn't go off though.
that wasn't a go off. That was
I'll be like, I said, shoot, you better leave me alone. They're like, girl. But
okay. Shoot, right.
But I just want you all to think about this and sort through how your story began to shape how you even show up in adulthood. Okay, we'll be ready to wrap in a minute, but so you began to realize this and you began to realize how it was impacting your relationships and it was impacting your friendships. And how did you, or what did you decide to do? Like, or what are you doing to try to manage some of those things that come up?
Well, I decided to get into therapy. And really, I mean, unfortunately, everybody can't have you as a friend like I do. I'm sorry. I hate it for the people, but really, if you have real relationships, honestly, and you want to be better, right? First of all, you have to be aware of
Mm-hmm.
this ain't working. You might, again, like I said earlier, you might not have the language for it. You might not know how to what to put where. But you got to know something ain't working. I'm not showing up and being received by people the way I think I am or the way I
Mm-hmm.
desire to be. So once you realize that, then what are you going to do about it, right? And so my friends, my core group of friends, really being patient enough, that's
Yeah.
why I love y'all, to give me the opportunity to grow through some things
Yes.
has gotten me to a point where I realize, okay, we have those tough conversations, we have those intense conversations, and so because you can't be my therapist because there's laws and things, then I just went ahead
Yes.
and got my own therapist. And
Yes.
therapy is definitely
That
something.
I approve, by the way, but go ahead.
Right, it's a very strategic process. Therapy is definitely one thing that I'm doing consistently. I need to get back in therapy, but that's not the show we're on. Um, to work through things. Also, just being intentional, right? I can continue to do the things that I've always done, but they don't serve me at 40 the way they did when I was 10
Yes.
or
Yes.
8 or whatever it was, right? So then I have to intentionally practice something different. And so
Mm-hmm.
every time something happens and I feel it, right? I can feel it in my person that so the machete is on its way. It's right here, right? I can feel it.
Yes.
So when that feeling comes, what do I do? Do I play into it or do I decide you can keep your mouth shut, Nicole? It's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
when I talk to myself, I use my middle name. You can keep your mouth shut. It's not nothing's gonna happen if you don't respond to this, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can say what you need to say and but not all of it, right? Say what's important or what's needed and then just be quiet or just don't do anything. It's you will be fine. And so just being intentional about assessing the moment and deciding what I want to give to that moment is a daily, sometimes hourly process, but it has definitely been what has helped me to be better in how I interact with people.
You know, one of the things you said is about being aware, and I think that's such, that's my pulpit. I just think that's so important because if you can at least be aware that you know what your intentions are, but you don't know how others are experiencing you. And another thing that has just been a common theme in this conversation is that it was showing up in different places.
Yeah.
And so at this point, you got to know that everybody is not out to get you if it's showing up in that way. I want you to talk for a moment. Excuse me. I want to back up just a little bit and talk for a moment about how you have navigated this professionally. What I mean is that short trigger or that short I'm missing the word. It's not a short trigger.
Yes.
Short fuse was showing up at some point professionally. Back in the day, your friend had your name on the calendar. But now that you are in such high leadership, how have you used what you've come to understand to ensure that you are leading well?
Oh, that's a great question. So can I tell a quick story?
Hmm.
So, I'm a principal now. Like I said, I was a principal. I got into leadership in 2000, the fall of 2012, right after I got my doctorate. I was an assistant principal for 6 months, got promoted to principal. Mind blown, amazing, right? Great. I go into this new school. I'm assessing what's going on. I'm seeing all kind of problems. I'm seeing just all number of things, right? And so in my head, I'm like, let's go. We going to fix it. So I'm just going. I'm a head on. I'm just whatever. I ain't cared about somebody's feelings. I didn't care about how I would have see, I'm struggling with it now. I would say I wasn't rude, but I was definitely curt, if you know what that means. So I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but
You said
my
if you know what that means.
ma'am, just one
Okay,
second.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
So,
Sorry.
but I was just cutting people. I was because in my head, I'm like, we're teaching children. We don't have time for this. I ain't worried about your feelings. I wasn't really trying to be mean, but I really wasn't worried about your feelings, type of thing. So I'm just going.
Yeah.
Going. End of the year comes, and I get pulled into my CEO's office for my annual evaluation. So he goes, do you know what people think about you and your building? And I said very, very confidently, no, but I don't know if I really care. And I said, right, because you clearly, so they were getting reports that I was just too much. It was just like a whirlwind, like a tornado. I came in there just chopping people up, chopping stuff up, and all the things. And so when they said that to me and they were telling me what people kind of high level, they didn't get into the weeds of it,
The
but what
weeds of
people
it.
were saying and what the perception was of me, I literally had to leave the table because I went in the bathroom and cried because I would have never thought that it was coming out like that. Because while my intentions were good, and I swear they were pure, I wanted my teachers to be better. I wanted the kids to learn. I wanted all the great things to happen. My delivery was trash, like trash. So I had to get myself together because, mind you, I'm still in my evaluation, but I didn't want to cry in front of them because, again, I'm from Philly, I'm a thug. So it took me a minute, but I was like, all right, girl, pull yourself together. So I go back in there and I'm like, and they're like, yeah, so what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna figure don't you worry, I'm gonna figure it out. So I was intentional all summer and I had to kind of even reflect in that about building relationships, about how do I build on people's strengths, about affirming people, and also just because the whole board is a mess, I don't have to erase the whole board at one time. We can go
Yes.
section by section. So baby steps. I was going to say bite size. Just small pieces at a time to enact change and then bringing people in a part of the change. So I had a lot to learn as how to be a leader, which again was very hard for me because of how I always operated. And I thought it was nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with it. And I was,
Yes.
well, what is wrong with y'all? Like, what do you mean?
Yes. And now, and the reason why I wanted to go back to that is because number one, you were in your element. You were doing what you know.
Yeah.
Remember, you're not going to fail. If I'm going to put my hands to it, it's going to be well. You don't like not being in control, so you're going to control all the elements. When you start to feel uneasy, that intensity really comes out. So
Yeah.
all of that was playing a part
Right.
even in your career.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that you weren't the bomb in what you were doing, but that mental health, all of that played a part in how it came out. So I was looking up something while you were talking, because remember when we had this issue. We were talking about something, and Zenobia was like, "Because I'm about to confront somebody." She was like,
Mhm.
It's time for us to have a confrontation." This was years ago,
Oh.
and I said, "Well, I think we should use a different word."
Mhm.
And you're like, wow. I was like, and I know some of you who are listening to this are not going to agree with me. I'm just trying to tell y'all what Webster says. When you look up the word confrontation, and remember, you were like, wow,
Yeah.
Zenobia,
It
I'm
was a lot.
telling you, yeah, if you watch it online, look, confrontation means a hostile or argumentative meeting or situation between opposing parties. And so I would always say it doesn't have to be a confrontation. Now, to be fair, because I know that look on your face, to be fair, you wanted to confront at the drop of a hat. I never wanted to confront. So we needed to meet in
Meet
the
in the middle.
middle,
Yes, absolutely.
right? So we don't have to have a confrontation, but we do need to have a conversation, right? And so I think that aspect of it plays a
And
part.
the
And
disconnect was, so you all heard the definition that was just read. In my head, confrontation meant just to address it. It did not mean I was going to be hostile. It was going to be all the words that you said. So every time you kept saying that, I'm like, what is your problem? Because I'm thinking, I just want to address it. Let's talk about it. And you're thinking, no, but confrontation means that you're hostile, that yeah, like you
when I
really,
hear confrontation, I'm like, you got your fist
right,
out.
right, right. So I think that
Yes.
was also the thing. Like I understood it to be one way, and you had a different understand, you and Webster. So it was, we never landed on the same page. But I have to finish that story because we're not gonna leave here with people thinking
Okay,
that.
keep going. I'm sorry. Okay, keep going.
So anyway, I was intentional all that year. I'll make it short. I was intentional about the people, investing in them, pulling out the strengths, all the things. And the year later, in my evaluation, it was a total 180. I'm gonna let that sit with the people because it's not a 360, it's a 180. Okay.
Okay.
So it was a total 180, and it was glowing accolades, all the things. I made my achievement goal. So but yeah, but again, I to the mental health piece, I had to be intentional because you just got to know how you're showing up, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no need to show. I'm the principal, essentially. I'm the boss. I don't need to
Yes.
throw my weight around. I don't need to, and all. Another thing is, because I was so young, I felt like I gotta be all so that people
Yes.
respect me, right? So I came in with issues these poor people ain't know nothing about. But I was intentional. So to your point about how it shows up in work, man, how it
No,
shows
but I
up.
have to jump in there because I think that's another so many takeaways from this conversation. But that's another takeaway because you showed up with this whole story you were telling yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm young. I got to make sure that they respect me. I know what I'm talking about. I don't like all of this stuff. And they had no idea. Now, she's talking about in her role professionally, but all of us can think about that. Even for me as the first lady of TFC, remember, one of our core values is tough conversations. That the leaders at TFC are committed to tough conversations, or some people could use the word courageous conversations. And the idea is that we're not afraid to have the conversation. Well, imagine if over these years I hadn't matured to
Yeah.
being able to have the conversations because of all the things that's going on in my head. I don't want to fail. I do
Yeah.
not want somebody to give me a C as first lady. I want to get an A. So whatever I got to do to get an A, because my identity is
Yeah.
very easily tied into check. Oh, she is so awesome. And
Uh-huh.
so having to be okay, what is one of the things you tell me all the time? Everybody ain't gonna think you. My sister tells me this. I don't know who these people are who don't think that I'm amazing. I don't need y'all in my DMs, whoever y'all are. I don't want to know. But if I'm not careful, that guides how I
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
And all of this is tied to our mental health and how our trauma or our life story, our anxiety, our depression, how it plays a part in how we engage with other people. Then we were supposed to talk about sis that we didn't.
No, I think we've talked about it all, but if I was to give do you do final thoughts? Let's do a final
Yeah, give
thought.
me your final thoughts.
If I was to do a final thought, I would just really say that, I'm 40, I'm single, I'm a single mom, I have a 10-year-old, and I am a boss, as you say, right? I'm thriving in my career. But there are so many other spaces where if you ask me, I would not say I was thriving. And I think it's an opportunity to look into those spaces and not necessarily look for the why am I not thriving, but what am I telling myself about the fact that those spaces aren't where I want them to be? And then challenge those thoughts, right? Is that really true about me? What,
Mhm.
to your point, what story am I telling myself? Or have I told myself that I'm not willing to let go of, right? And so
Absolutely.
I said this a little earlier, and you've helped me to realize that the things that I needed to survive as a child, as a teenager, as a college student, I don't need those things to survive as a 40-year-old woman. So what am I willing to lay down and to put aside so that I can pick up those things that will edify me as the person I want to be now and edify those who are in my life as I build relationships. So I think it's just a lot of intentionality that we have to take. We have to take ownership, right? I think we definitely have to
Hmm.
own where we are, how we've been showing up, and all those things, and not to a point of self-deprecation, but just so that we can acknowledge it and then take whatever steps needed to move forward.
So, Novi, I love that. And I just love what you just said, not to the point of self-deprecation, because again, I paused earlier just to acknowledge all the ways you are amazing because I know that I spend a lot of conversations about where we need to grow, right? That just happens to be my passion, self-awareness. And I saw this meme the other day, and then we'll go. I saw this meme the other day that said, don't forget to acknowledge your ancestors for the resilience and strength and commitment that you have. Trauma wasn't the only thing they passed down. Girl,
That was
I wanted
good.
to just high five whoever wrote that because I know I tend to look at it because of the work I do. I don't need all that nodding on your head.
I was agreeing because I do this. I do the same thing.
But I tend to focus heavily on where we need to grow and we need to, including myself, and we need to stop and just acknowledge also how amazing we are. So not to the point of self-deprecation. I keep saying last name, but remember, one of the things you told me is, Robin, give me 6 minutes.
Yes, please, Jesus.
Explain what you would mean.
So immediately when I would bring a situation up, and we're just girlfriends, so we're just talking, Robin would immediately go into, well, if you didn't say this, or maybe
Yeah.
you could have left the machete at home, like all of those things. And I'm like, give me 6 minutes. I just give me a moment to get it out, to be mad, to tell you what they did and make it everybody else's fault. And then after I come down off the cliff, then you can tell me all the ways that I messed that up and I could have done it better. Okay. But you're gonna give
Yes.
me 6 minutes.
So I wanted you to share that for my clients who happen to listen to the podcast. Hey, y'all, because for those of you who now get your 6 minutes to come on session and go off, you ought to DM her and tell her thank you because that really did help me. Because I so quickly, and let me say this and then we'll wrap up. Part of the reason, y'all, that I jump in so quick to help us redirect, because I know how dangerous it is when we don't. When we wallow too long in that place, we begin to believe that, and then it becomes our pattern of behavior. So here I go again, swooping in to save the day. No, no, no. But people have real human experiences, and you need to hear somebody say, no, they tripped. No, that really is hard. No, I would have responded like that too. Oh, I can understand why you responded like that. And so I guess the other part of this conversation is don't do this alone. Make sure you have real relationships with people who know you and give people permission to have real access to your life so
So,
that when you're,
can I just say something about that point right there? So, Robin, we've done a lot of life together, and I can't even remember where this came from. But Robin decided one day that she was just going to not if nobody asked, right? So, if you don't ask me, you can tell me all the things. I'm just gonna, right? And I don't know where she got that from. I can't even
you
remember.
do know, you know, we are in a friendship group. These are our sisters. And I would always be trying to help people see something different.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't be happy about it because probably because I wasn't giving them the
You
six
wasn't giving
minutes.
us 6 minutes. Sheesh. So then,
So
because
their
we like
response I didn't like.
Yeah, and we live in extremes, so she went all the way over there and decided, well, I'm just gonna not say anything, right? And I had to literally say, I'm not gonna tell you. This is her thing. I'm not gonna say anything unless I'm asked. Okay. Well, I had to say, let me be clear. I'm not going to ask you because I'm not going to remember to ask you, but you are expected to. I'm giving you permission to tell me whatever it is you need to tell me. So, and it took a while. I had to keep saying it. And now we're totally past. So she will tell, she knows good and well, I expect you as this level of my friend and my sister to tell me. I'm not going to ask you because I just have that expectation of the level of relationship we have to tell me. So to your point about you have to give people permission, you do,
Mm-hmm.
because people need to know that it's okay to be
To
honest.
be that honest, like Toy, our friend Toy, coined the phrase placement issues. Girl,
Yeah.
I've written it in my book. I talk
Okay.
about it all the time. Toy, I give you credit for it. She said people sometimes think they have a different place in your life than they do. And so they are saying things and they don't have the place in your life. And again, that was an extreme response out of my own self-protection. Why? Because I want to get an A. So out of my own self-protection, I'm failing at friendship. So guess what? I won't say anything. And I had to navigate through my own growth and also understand probably sometimes people don't need all of that, right?
Right.
And so, okay, we have gone on and on and on. I am so happy you came on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing vulnerably. And you're going to have to come back again one day soon.
Absolutely. I would love to.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you comment, share, let everybody know about the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Hey, friend, listen, I'm super excited that you listened to this episode of Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. But before you go, did you know that my book, Before You Take His Name, is officially available for you to purchase? Just head over to robinmayonline.com/shop books. robinmayonline.com/shop books. Before You Take His Name gives Christian women 14 questions that you should ask before you say I do. But here's the thing, the book is actually best for those who may be casually dating, or girl, even if you're not dating at all. This is the time to read the book because it will allow you to set a healthy a healthy a healthy foundation when you start to get serious about somebody that just may be the one. So if you haven't already, head over to robinmayonline.com/shop books. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, it's right in the description of this video. If you're watching this on your favorite podcast app, you can find it in the show notes. Or if you're following me on Instagram, you can head over to Robin May Online and click the link in my bio. Listen, girl, if you're married, will you go ahead and order it from one of your single girlfriends? Tell them I told you to send it to them. Again, Before You Take His Name is available for purchase. Go grab your copy.